This is a principle of leadership. The fact that women can never be with men who are at least not their equals and up, itself shows that women's brains are wired for hierarchy. You understand? Even the women who claim, I don't want hierarchy, I don't want to be in a dom sub dynamic, I don't want to be in a male led dynamic, they're full of shit. They're lying, they're confused, they're in shadow. Why? Because their entire attraction mechanism that only gets triggered when they encounter a man that they themselves calculate to be their betters. That attraction mechanism is a mechanism of hierarchy.
Whether you're a guy who's single battling to attract women, whether you've been in a relationship that's just ended because the girl wasn't really feeling it anymore and maybe just wanted to be friends, or whether your relationship is at a stage where there's fight, she doesn't respect you, this concept, when understood, when studied, when mastered, will change the game for you. And I want to share with you in a very succinct way today how it applies to men at different stages of development. So this comes from a great video by Umrapani. If you haven't checked out the video, definitely do. I'll try to link it here somewhere. But he really goes in on this idea of hierarchy. And he basically has the premise of, you want to attract the woman. If you want to attract a woman, be better than your woman. Be better than the woman you want to attract. Now, this obviously creates a lot of outrage. Like, oh my gosh, he said be better than the woman. Like, that's terrible and all these things. But when you get under all the cultural baggage, that's actually very true. And we can see this in many different areas of life. We're all equal on a soul level, but we're not all equal in the dating marketplace. So me and you might be equal on a soul level, but you might be I don't know, a doctor, and you might be earning 200 grand a month, 200K a year, or whatever it is. Yes, well, I might be working at McDonald's flipping burger patties. In the work marketplace, you are better than me and you get rewarded for that. But when it comes to dating, like, this idea just flies out the window, even though it's relevant everywhere. You just go to a restaurant and you just observe couples, you will kind of see the hierarchy. Like, that guy sitting at that table with that girl, well, he could never be with that girl sitting at that table with that guy. It's almost unspoken, but you can see it everywhere you look. And if we don't get all in our heads about it, it becomes very self-evident. You have to be better than the woman you want to be in a relationship with. And I remember this really messed me up. Like, if I had to look back at my own journey, I definitely started off where I was worse than all the women I wanted to attract. That's why all my seductions were such failures, you know? If I had to look at it on a different level, it's like the women were more confident than me. I was more needy than the woman, which is a negative. I was more afraid of her disapproval. I had worse sexual mastery than her. I was less confident than her. All of these types of things, if they just had to objectively look at on paper, most of the girls that I really wanted were out of my league. Genuinely, they were better than me, and that's why they were never attracted to me. It's also why you get examples of, yeah, but this like fat chubby girl used to be really into me. Why? Because she saw you as better than she was. Some of this is subjective. You know, one girl might see you as higher, one girl might not. But generally, you want to be in a dynamic where the girl is looking up to you. She thinks you are better than her. And you actually want to be better than her, because this is one of like the unspoken ideas about learning game or pickup. It's like these guys who are like nerds and like losers and haven't done anything with their lives. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to teach you the structure that you can say this formula to this girl, and this is going to get her attracted, get her on a date, get her in bed, whatever it is. And the scary thing is, it actually works to some degree. You can get good enough at reciting a structure that you can hold it up for just long enough that the girl will be seduced by you. But one of the big problems I see with guys who learn pickup but don't understand these deeper concepts and haven't mastered things like hierarchy is they can get the date, then they get ghosted. They can sleep with the girl, then they get ghosted. They can date the girl for a month or two, then she loses interest and breaks up with them. Why is this happening? Because maybe she was initially attracted to what she thought you were or who she thought you were. But as she spent more time with you, she got to see, quote unquote, the real you. And in all honesty, it wasn't that impressive. That might be hard for guys to hear, but for most guys, it's the truth. Like, most guys are not better than the woman they're trying to date, and that's why their dating efforts are usually such failures. So then I went from step one of like me being worse than the girls, genuinely, just on paper, when it came to dating attributes. Then I came into more of the mindset of the second one, where it's like, oh no, like we're all equals. You know, that whole thing of like man leads woman, or like man is better than woman. Like, that's so like biblical, you know, that's so like 200 years ago. And I saw hierarchy as a very negative thing, like people oppressing other people. And I think that's because in our culture, we have so many examples of like bad leadership or bad hierarchy. So maybe in your family, like your dad was like crazy or abusive. So in that dynamic, he was supposed to lead you, but being on the receiving end of his leadership was a negative experience for you, was really bad form. Just like sometimes you might have a government and you might be on the receiving end of their leadership that has a lot of negative consequences to you. So you're like, screw authority, screw leadership, like this is all BS, we're just gonna like all be equal. But that doesn't really work out either. I've tested it out in my own relationships. I've seen this with countless clients where guys are like, okay, I cry sometimes, you cry sometimes, you express your emotions, I express my emotions. Because I thought it was wrong. I was like, oh, guys, they just suppress their emotions. That's so like 1950s masculinity. But then you go to the other end of the extreme where you're like always emotional and vulnerable and sharing everything that's going on for you. But that's treating your woman as your therapist. That's treating your woman as your mother. That is not the dynamic you want to set. Okay, you want to be able to express your emotions, get some guy friends. You want to be going to your traumas, go to see a therapist. But if you want to lead your woman, if you want your woman to desire you, to be attracted to you, well, understand the principles and values of leadership and then stick to them. You can't be crying and breaking down every week because you're stressed out and still expect desire and attraction from your woman. That's not how it works. If you went to your job and every day your boss was like, I'm so stressed out, I'm freaked out about this project, you'd be like, what the hell is going on? If you went to your teacher in school and your teacher was like, how do I figure this out? This is such a hard problem. You'd be like, I don't know, you're the teacher. You're supposed to know this better than I am. So then we come to phase three, which is like loving leadership, leading from a place of authority, but wanting the best for your woman. This is not sitting on the couch, watching football, drinking a beer, saying, hey, go fetch me another beer. That's what most people think of when they think of leadership or hierarchy in a relationship. But no, there's a clear distinction. I'm the leader, you're the follower. And by the woman's own accounts, you should be better than her. You don't pass that judgment. She passes that judgment, not verbally, but her attraction is the signal to how much she thinks you are better than her. So if she thinks you're much better than her, her attraction is going to be a lot higher. If she thinks you're just a little bit better than her, she might have a little bit of attraction for you. If she starts to see that she's better than you, well, the attraction is just going to fade and evaporate. And that's something you want to be keenly aware of and know where you stand in the relationship. Don't try fake it either. Genuinely work on yourself to get to that point. Okay, Umrapani in this video goes off on the subject, but I think it's so important. I'll try to put the link to it somewhere. I just did a 4-part leadership series helping men to embody leadership traits better, which makes them more attractive. Guys are like, I don't want to learn leadership. I just want to get the technique to make the girl more attracted. But it's like they don't understand attraction, because this is one of the biggest attraction levers that new age guys or guys who want everything to be equal, they just don't get and understand. And I understand it takes a long time for it to seep into your brain. And what I'm trying to share now is just another iteration. As Alex Hormozy says, we often need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. So if you want to check out that leadership series, I have it available at a very it's at a very nominal price. It's not crazy expensive, and it can extremely help you in your relationship to increase the attraction, to get the attraction back, or to set it up on dates where you can set up that leadership dynamic where girls want to text you again and want to see you again. So hopefully you find that video great. Shout out to Umrapani for his epic work on this topic, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.